Hello and welcome back to Row Reacts to Billboard #1 hits throughout the ages. We are in the beginnings of 1964, in the midst of Beatlemania. The Beatles hit the US shores. They had just successfully had a 7-week run with I Want to Hold Your Hand. And next up, which is the subject of today's video, boys and girls, was a song that was #1 for 2 weeks, She Loves You, which was a huge hit in the UK and would go on to be the top-selling single of the 1960s in the UK by any artist. But it was only #1 for 2 weeks in the US, probably because the next song would romp through. I think at this point, the Beatles had like 4 or 5 singles in the top of the charts. So, yeah, they were very much dominant, they were. Anyway, providing this video doesn't get blocked by the copyright strike, as I said in the previous Beatles video, I am going to pause the song as we go through just to try and break it up a little bit, to try and get past that copyright. You know I don't like to do this normally. I normally like to listen to the entire song, but this is the Beatles. They seem to be very protective of their copyright, rightfully so, although it's a bit old now, boys. Let it go. So let's crack on and listen to the Beatles with She Loves You. It's interesting that, in contrast to the last video, which again I think was in one of their films or something, whereas this is from the Mersey Sound, which must have been like a TV compilation where they get lots of Mersey area artists in, because the Mersey Sound was such a big thing. It's like the grunge scene in Seattle 50 years later or whenever it was. But they've got their little suits that were like their iconic look in the very early 60s when they broke through. I've forgotten they wore that. It's very interesting. And also, much like the last song, this is the point in their career where the songs would be sung by Paul and John at the same time. So it wasn't, as they moved on a little bit, they would get to a song that was predominantly written by John, and so John would sing the lead vocal, and vice versa. Anyway, continuing. It's very quiet as well, I apologise. The jackets are almost smocks, aren't they? I know they're from art school, but come on. And just the way John stands. Again, I'd forgotten about holding his guitar high and really thrusting his hips forward. And I think that was kind of like his little inspired by Elvis thing.
Be glad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Great fun, great fun. Great song, great song. It's a nice little. It's very similar to "I Want to Hold Your Hand," but just different enough. Yeah, it's interesting with the song titles at this point. I remember reading an interview with Paul McCartney years later, where he was being asked, why were your original singles so well received, and he related a story where his daughter was watching the Osmonds on TV and turned around to him at one point. I think there must have been a Donny Osmond bit where he's singing "I Love You," and she turned around to him, Paul, and said, "Oh, he loves me." And so you get these Beatles song titles like "I Want to Hold Your Hand," "I Want to Hold Your Hand," and "She Loves You," and you can see why they kind of relate to that. And the next one, which is coming up in the next video, hopefully if you see it, "Can't Buy Me Love," and all, that kind of thing. That's the only bit of interesting information I have to share about the Beatles. Anyway, that was "She Loves You" by the Beatles. I very much enjoy this song. I think that might be one of my favourite Beatles songs, of the early ones anyway. Yeah, I've very much enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.